Let's work. Yo, it's go time, showtime, never backing down time. One shot, yo, make it count, yo. Crunch time, shine time, make this moment my time. Get a grip, yo, ready, set, go. We bring the thunder. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's go. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's go. Yeah, it's my time, yo time. Step into the spotlight. Get lit, yo. Let yourself go. Our time, high time. Gotta go big time. This is it, yo. Never take no fight time. Grind time. Take it to the street time. Turn the roof off. Get loco. Game time, win time. We gon' bring it home time. No regrets now. Let it all go. We bring the thunder. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder.
Well, good evening and welcome to Melmers. I'm Aeson, and of course with me tonight is the Techie Cubby with most, Techie Joe. How are you, darling?
Oh, doing well. How about you?
All prepared to, murder people, have a bottle of whiskey, and, forget the day exists?
Oh, well, there you go. That's an option.
Hello, Miss Brenda. How are you, darling? I hope you're having a fabulous time.
Yes.
All right. It has been a busy day for me. It looks like it's going to be a busy month for me. For those that got just the sip earlier, that was kind of fun to do. Kind of showing some of their skills off.
Well, there we go. Oh, but yes. Hey, Brenda. Sorry. I was throwing one more story over to him for this evening, and I'm good. I'm good now.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And I haven't been in Slack this afternoon, so I was checking up on everything else that I might have missed, and looks like a mostly quiet day, which is good. We needed it.
In your office.
Well, yeah. But, yeah.
But apparently it was a very interesting day because, of course, we got November's job reports in, and payroll and wages blew past expectations. Flying face in front of the Fed's rate hike because, they're saying the economy's down, but unemployment's down, so how can the economy be down?
Well, but yeah, the payrolls number was well above the 200,000 estimate, while the unemployment rate was in line. And average hourly earnings jumped 0.6% for the month, double the estimate, and 5.1% annually versus the 4.6% expectation.
Right. So here's the question. Is it really that we are going through a bad economy times? Or is it that we are not and just stockbrokers aren't happy?
I think it's a lot of it is going to end up being the stockbrokers are unhappy. I think it's that a lot of companies are unhappy with actually paying livable wages to employees.
For the first time in America.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying we're there yet. I'm just saying more and more employees are basically at a point of you can pay me what I'm worth or you can deal with the crap that I give you. Exactly. And I think that's fair. I've long thought that was fair. And we've argued on this program about that is that, I'm sorry. I've done the thing where you show up and you think that this is 1970 and that hard work pays off and you're going to, run as hard as you can for your employer. And yes, you're making peanuts now, but, this is going to build.
Right.
And that's not the landscape. It died somewhere in the early I'm not saying it was still alive and kicking in the late 90s. I'm saying in the early 2000s that started to really take a jump off of it.
Well, and we have two different views on this. I see it as if an employee wants to come up in the ranks, they'll work their ass off. If they are hungry enough, they will create jobs, they will make jobs, they will fix their stuff, they will jump to the next level. When they figure out what they're doing there, they'll jump to the next level. And if employers don't know how to harness that, then buy them out.
Well, and I think moreover, and maybe part of our debate is some jobs are just jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is like what you do because it's what you're doing.
Right.
Because you can't get where you want to be or you haven't found that place yet, and this is the in between.
Right.
This is the crap you take in order to like put food in your mouth.
Right. And we have the differing opinion on that is that, fine, that may be the crap you take to put food in your mouth, but that doesn't mean you just show up 9 o'clock, punch the clock, okay, do the bare minimum, punch out at 5. You're not taking any skills away from that.
Well, but I will say there is opportunities there with any employment to expand skill sets, learn more things. I do think that for some jobs, though, you get into this thing where you're not just doing your job, you're doing 3 other people's jobs.
Right.
And if a company isn't gonna respect that,
right,
I don't have a problem with quiet quitting. Like, get the skills and move on.
right,
Get the skills and move on. Like, once you realize you're not going to get paid extra
right,
for doing extra, a lot extra, and your employer is just going to take advantage of that, I'm all down with move on.
Right.
And start that at your desk.
Yeah, but actually move on. Don't sit there and complain and stay on my payroll if you don't want to grow in my company. And see, the other direction of this is I've been independent contractor for almost 20 years.
True. And that's what I'm saying is roughly the last 20 years, it really shifted.
Right.
If I don't know who lost the memo. Well, I don't know who lost the memo about how work was supposed to work. Like, it was the one we were given in school. This is what you do to get ahead. Like, you show up to work, you show up sober, you show up able to pass a piss test, you show up, work ready to work. You show up early, you get over the fact you're not going to get clocked in till 8, and you're going to get clocked out at 5, and you're going to work beyond that. Like, and you pay your dues, and then within a reasonable time frame, you're going to start seeing the benefits as you climb up in someone's respect, and you're going to give respect to this job, and you're going to be given respect for the job you're doing.
Yeah, see, that's not the memo I got. The memo I got was you go into a job, you make yourself indispensable, and then you either take something higher or you move on to the next.
Yeah. I don't know. My parents were a little more old school. My parents were probably more in line with like your grandparents. So I think that might be where some of the disconnect is.
Yeah.
But like the memo I got was, and granted, this was all built around like, you turn 18, you get a job, you work there until you qualify for the pension program. And then within a reasonable time frame, you take your retirement and you go home. Because
we never got that memo. Granted, we were all nurses, so you retire when your body falls apart. If then, or you go find something else to do.
Well, yeah, and I'm also talking about like this was the commentary from the 80s.
Right.
Around the 90s is when that blew up in my dad's face. And that idea you were gonna, leave somewhere with retirement. Like, let's just say I was 12 when I learned what safe harbor meant. Because that was a problem that he actually had out of the company he worked for.
Right.
They had a 401k program. It was not safe harbor.
Right.
So the company fell on rough times. And so they took everything out of the 401k program. Like, not just they quit doing contributions and profit sharing.
Right.
But they literally pulled money out.
Yeah.
So they had workers that were set to retire that suddenly found out they didn't have anything in their retirement accounts.
Yeah. See, and that seems to be an antitrust thing there. And how they got out of that and through that with the federal
Well, no,
government
it's
is
very
surprising.
simple. No, it's very simple. All these employees signed agreements, and they knew that these were not safe harbor. And by the way, safe harbor basically just means the money goes in, but only you can take it out.
Right.
That's it. That's the whole safe harbor.
Right. And see, that's
is
why
that-
I've always recommended you invest on your own. That little $2 and $3 the company is going to throw at you is ridiculous. Do your own $20 a week for 50 years
Mhm.
and run your own retirement.
I mean, well, and then I left an employer with safe harbor, because you better believe that was the first thing I checked.
Mm-hmm.
401k plan.
Right.
And if I had left just like 6 months before,
Mm-hmm.
probably a little more than that, because it was right there with the housing bubble burst.
Right.
Like, my 401k was actually doing really nice.
Right.
And theoretically, I could have like survived for a whole year on what was in that account when I left that employer.
Right.
At that point.
Yeah.
Then the housing bubble burst
Mm-hmm.
because I was doing my maximum contribution.
Right.
And then the housing bubble burst, and then it was like, here's 10 grand.
Right. Well,
I mean, I'm not saying that's a shitty amount of money. Like, I'd love 10 grand right now. Please send me 10 grand. But it was one of those things. It's like, that didn't really do anything. Like, I probably put just at or a little bit more than that myself into the plan.
Right.
And that's like totally discounting the employer matching. That's discounting any growth.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I basically shook a piggy bank.
Right.
When I left in 2010, I could have taken that money and possibly gotten better at my bank.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really stressful.
Well, that's stressful, but that's factual. That's why it's always like, no, you can do better on your own. Mm-hmm. But what's interesting is we have inflation up. The current unemployment rate is 3.7, which why no one is reporting on that is beyond me. And our job report came in higher than expected, but we have inflation that's been higher than we have normal inflation.
Our inflation has been out of control for decades. Talking about it now is just kind of moot.
Right.
Like what do you want to talk about?
Right.
Do you want to talk about the thing you've been ignoring? Oh, wait, you're not talking about the inflation that occurs because you're not paying people. Right. Like you didn't adjust salaries for like 40 years.
Right.
Like you didn't keep pace with inflation. And now we're going to talk about inflation.
Well, the reason we're talking about inflation now is it's not functional inflation. It's corporate inflation.
Mm-hmm. Okay. It's money going direct to profit.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. That's where it's going. We've seen, what is her name? Oh, she's the lovely senator I like.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, she has done great charts and graphs.
All right. Now, something that's missing from the workforce is the middle-aged man. We're apparently missing from the workforce.
We're not middle-aged.
Yes, we are. 35 to 44.
That is not middle-aged. I refuse to accept it.
Okay, fine.
Additionally, I can't get the news story to pull up, so...
Okay.
You gotta roll.
I'll tell you the rundown of it. Apparently, it's a look at over the past 5 months, probably really 38, has been delivering food and groceries through DoorDash, but he spent the first half of the year earning no paycheck at all, reflecting a surprising trend among middle-aged men. After last Christmas, that his job as an analyst at a hospital company was becoming automated, Ruggiero chose to stay at home to care for his 2 sons. His wife wanted to go back to work, and he was discouraged in his own career after more than a decade. The corporate turmoil and repeated disappointments, he thought he might be able to earn enough income on his investments to pull it off financially. Rubio's decisions to step away from his employment during this prime working years hint as one of the biggest surprises in today's job market. Hundreds of thousands of men in their late 30s and 40s stopped working during the pandemic, having lingered in the labor market sidelines since. While Rubio recently returned to earning money, many men his age seem to be staying off the workforce altogether. They are annoyed as employment rates have rebounded more full for women of the same age and both younger and older men. About 89.7% of men 35 to 44 were working or looking for work in November, down by 90.9% before the pandemic. The group of employers shown signs of rebounding last month, but unusually depressed averages over the past year. What do you think about this?
I don't find it surprising. I don't find it surprising that after, I don't know, a couple of millennia of being dominant in the workforce, men have, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is going to end up mostly talking, like most of those numbers are going to center on white cis men.
Right.
And the reason I say that is unsurprising is that after being, spending millennia being the dominant person in employment, we're finally starting to see that change.
Right.
We're seeing, more diversity enter the workplace. And we knew, I mean, I'm not saying they were right exactly. Because it's not a bad thing. It's a very good thing.
Right.
Is that we're starting to see a workforce that represents the population, and not just a workforce that's predominantly dominated, especially in upper management, by middle-aged white men.
Right. Well, what's interesting is, his portfolio went on fire, as he quoted it, caught fire. So he went back to DoorDash instead of going back to what they expected him to, what, everyone's preaching that, once their money runs out, they'll come back and work for us. It's like, no, I'll go to the gig economy.
Yeah. And I think there's a fair number of people doing that. I think especially with investing being kind of a shit show. I mean, basically the new current promise to people who are employed is you're going to go into the workforce, you're going to work somewhere no more than 3 years because you don't want to stagnate and become unemployable. So about every 2 years, year and a half, 2 years, you're going to jump jobs for more money and better title, or one or both.
Right.
And you're going to stay on that treadmill, which, may I point out, can be semi-disastrous for companies because it takes mostly, I think the numbers are about 6 months to get someone up to speed. So really, they only work there for a year, year and a half once you're done with the treadmill.
Right.
And the onboarding. So, yeah, you're going to do that, and you're going to do that till you're 70. Like, that's the new promise to us, is that we can retire somewhere north of 70.
Right.
With traditional employment. You're supposed to do all this and have, contributed enough to your 401k to actually retire on.
Right.
Which, good luck. Then that hadn't been going so well.
Right.
Meanwhile, you're also supposed to be taking out, insurance for long-term care, which, that's expensive.
Yes.
And has actually inflated the costs for long-term care.
Right.
Because, who didn't expect that?
Right.
I mean, that's what we did with healthcare when we introduced insurance. It's what we did for, basically anything you insure, you end up inflating the cost of.
Right.
Like, it just seems to be the way this works.
Right.
Is when it's a company paying the cost to replace it because you've insured it.
Right.
Suddenly the thing now becomes near unaffordable for the average human.
Right.
Or it becomes necessary to have the insurance because you can't afford to replace it.
Exactly. Well,
I mean, if you were wondering why you have $1,600 phones, this is kind of why you have $1,600 phones.
Right. Well, and here's my question now. Because you face this stuff, you face this decision the latest between the two of us.
Okay.
Why did you decide to go the direction you did?
I honestly, for a very long time, could not even think about entering anything that looked like my last employment experience.
Right.
Like, I literally left there and said I would rather turn tricks on a corner for quarters than to ever work here again.
Right.
And I wasn't joking. I'll take the bruises from being hit with quarters. I don't have a problem with that.
Right.
Compared to working there.
Right.
And so for many years, I was at a point where I would just get so angry. Like, I really couldn't even think about anything about my previous employer. Like, the letters of their, like the abbreviation for them. I couldn't even think about it. I couldn't see stuff from there without becoming angry.
Right.
And there's been therapy, for all of this, and even now, I think I could go back into the workforce. I think I'm going to have to be pretty heavily sedated. When I say workforce, I mean like traditional employment.
Right.
I'm going to have to be very heavily sedated for at least the first couple of weeks, and they're going to have to be absolutely golden.
Right.
Like, they will have to be the bestest employer ever for at least the first year to keep me out of the mental health system. And I mean that with sincerity. It was so bad that, I did everything that I was told I was supposed to do. And prisoners drop soap in the showers and get fucked over less.
Well, true. And that, has a lot to do with it. But I don't know. Because young relationship Joe, I'll go to work, I'm going to get this fantastic job. I'm like, okay, and? And I'm like, I have a fantastic job. You can go and do what you want to do, follow your passion, build your company. And every day ain't roses, but I'd rather have that than a medicated zombie husband that I have to pack a lunch for and make sure that I don't include a plastic knife because he might stab somebody with it. Anyone know where I can get sporks at? With the round.
Well, actually, no, it's more importantly is make sure there's no rope in my trunk.
Well, that's a problem. I have rope in my trunk. And, bungee cords and everything else.
Sorry, trigger warning ahead for the content that's about to come. I left that employment situation at a point in which I scheduled 30 extra minutes to have a small mini nervous breakdown in the parking lot every single morning. And I had rope in my trunk with the intent to use it around one of the girders over my desk. Because I knew I was hitting a point in which I just couldn't do anymore.
Right.
I couldn't take it.
Right.
I absolutely hated every single minute I spent in that building.
Mm-hmm.
And the crap
Right.
of like, you do good customer service.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hi, I am very customer service oriented.
Mm-hmm.
I do what I can there. Everything that I can there to try to keep a client happy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, keep the client happy, keep the money flowing, keep the business running. Like, this is how this works. This is what I understand. This is what business school taught me.
Right.
This is what my life experience taught me.
Right.
I do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you end up in meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting where you are picked apart.
Right.
For every single action, every single thing you said gets put under a microscope. Mm-hmm. And you literally come out of those meetings
right.
with this like double-edged, well, you didn't do anything wrong, but you didn't do anything right either.
Right.
Like you shouldn't have done that, but you didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
Huh? Like, what?
Right.
Like, I took a client relationship that was on the borderline of they were going to fire us. Mm-hmm. Multiple clients were at that stage mm-hmm. when they finally landed on my phone line.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, we're going to fire you.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not in so many words, but effectively that's the way the conversation's going. They're pissed and for good reason. And I'm going, okay, let's fix it. Mm-hmm. We have tools to fix this. We have things I can do mm-hmm. to fix this.
Right.
I can pull this out from the brink
mm-hmm.
and fix it. And then to sit there in like a 4-hour meeting
mm-hmm.
and just have someone go with, well, why did you tell them this? And what did you tell them about that? And what did you do this for? And da-da-da-da-da. And being written up by another department, who mm-hmm. I may add, was the whole source of the problem
mm-hmm.
because I overstepped my authority.
Right.
And I'm going, no, I did not. I very directly told the client that while I don't have authority to make this decision, what I'm going to talk to them about is the following. And I would be very hopeful that this is what they do. And it seems reasonable for both of us.
All right.
And then I go and I present that and I write it up and I communicate with everyone that needs to be communicated with to let them know the situation, what's going on, and why this client's mad.
Mm-hmm.
If that other department could have answered their fucking voicemail or email for 2 fucking weeks, this mm-hmm. client wouldn't have been pissed, but they were busy golfing. And
true.
So I mean, just the idea of getting back onto that level of demoralization,
right,
and micromanagement, and just hours of having to defend yourself with what feels like like the swinging light of an interrogation over your head, that if you say one thing wrong, it's over.
Right. And see, that's the reason why I prefer to be, and I said this earlier today, that's why I prefer to be a consultant. I will also be a vendor, but I am not stepping in, some of the meetings I've been in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so different compared to when I was in corporate America. It's like micro pieces. And I'm like, oh my God, we have to have a whole team for a 15-second break. Can you give me a minute?
Yeah.
Here you go.
Yeah.
You already have
and
this
some
stuff.
Of that is the result of how we've changed the workplace.
Yeah.
I mean, and I saw it before I left my last company.
Right.
We had a couple of veteran employees.
Mm-hmm.
One of whom had been there, was my boss's boss, and had been there from, back in the beginning when it was like 10 people.
Right.
And, they had been there for years.
Right.
And so there's a lot of understanding of the business. And I always respect people that understand, that have long-term history and are able to communicate.
Right.
About okay, so why do we do this? And why do we do that? And how does this work? And why was this set up this way? Because they're, don't reinvent the fucking wheel. Okay.
Right.
30 years in business, you've gone through some shit, you've made some choices, and there's damn good reasons why.
Right. Exactly. But at the same time, I'm thinking back to my corporate days when me and, my person I consider to be my soulless and longest best friend, worked together. And there were 6 of us. And all 6 of us had the authority to do what we needed. And the manager would just sign off, because if not, she knew she wasn't getting her dinner when she got home.
Oh, no. Never did I ever.
And I'm like, give me a break. We don't need a team for that. I don't need a team for this. I need access. Give me this, and go away. And they're like, oh, but we're, and it's like, no, we don't.
Well,
I run an operation.
Give me access to the right person.
Give me access to the data.
Well, but that's not always viable. But what I mean is, give me access to the right person. I think what you're finding out with a lot of companies is there isn't a right person.
Right.
There's not a right person, because we've started hiring functionally.
Uh-huh.
As in very clearly limited functions.
Uh-huh.
You do this for the company, that micro, you've got to put a whole team together because each one of them has a piece.
See, and that's overemployment.
Well, I think it is, but I think it's also the redundancy created out of the loss of pension. Is you no longer, it's this idiotic idea that what we basically did is we took, this idea of employment in which you're going to hire someone and they're going to work for your company for 30, 40, 50 years.
Right.
And over that time, they're going to have a lot of knowledge, skills, experience, and abilities.
Right.
And then we have, in no time, shifted to an employment situation in which we don't expect people to be there more. We don't expect them to be there more than 2 years.
Right.
A year and a half functionally.
Mm-hmm.
And so each of these people has to be able to take their one little piece and absorb a little more.
Right.
And then, they can do individually, they can do a little more than what they do.
Mm-hmm.
But then it can turn into a situation where a lot of companies have just let, this team of 10 that they put together because they could hire them for next to nothing versus paying a 30, 40, 50-year employee. This nice veteran who knows what the hell they're doing, and they know the business and they know what's going on. And they've got it. And they've slowly, for some companies, most companies probably, that team of 10 turned into a team of 5, turned into a team of 4, 3, 2, and now there's one poor little person. It's like the game of 1 little, 2 little, 3, or the song of 1 little, 2 little, 3 little Indians. Is that this is contracted down to it eventually all lands on one person. And the company never realizes through this process, you done fucked up.
Right.
You now have one person that you don't pay for shit. Because their actual job title, it does not in your mind justify, and their technical job responsibilities do not justify a decent level of pay.
Right.
You don't recognize the fact they're doing the work of what you originally planned to be 10 people. Now, there's been some automation and there's been some improvements and there's been software for this and da-da-da-da. All of it has had to come together for one person to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they walk out.
Right.
And then you just have to go scramble together and find a couple more people to do all this shit.
Right.
And they don't know what's going on. And it's like, you end up with a social media department that's like, well, I know how to post to Facebook. Well, congratulations. So does, most people's grandmas.
Exactly. Let's take a break. But, I want to say this. I miss the days when teams were lean and focused. Mm-hmm. Like, we run all three of our companies with 3 people. Mm-hmm. We don't need, people go, someone made a comment today, they're working 15-hour days. And I've been working 15-hour days since the last time I got sick. Mm-hmm. All right. But let's hit a break.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Dottie the Psychic, and I'm sure you're wondering why I'm not wearing any makeup. Well, one reason is to irritate my social media manager, Aeson Knight. Hi, Aeson. The other reason is because I like to get to the naked truth about what it means to be a neurodivergent LGBT person with psychic abilities. I've got vlogs, blogs, and podcasts and videos all related to trying to live my best life and helping witches and bitches do the same thing. So, you can check all that out and get a reading from Dottie the Psychic at DOTTIEthepsychic.com. Safe travel and much profit to you.
Do you have a cute pet? We know you do. Each week, Tracy Van chooses from submitted photos a featured reader for her Facebook page and provides a tarot reading. Your adorable pet cat, dog, rabbit, goat, chicken, snake, or more could be her next featured reader. Visit tracyvan.com, TracyBann.com, and click Featured Reader to submit. We look forward to seeing your pet next.
Hey everybody, Lady Gwendolyn here, and I am here to tell you how to get in contact with me and a little bit about what I do. I am the High Priestess that works with shadow work to help you grow and heal. And I work with access bars, Reiki, I do power forms. I'm recently getting into crystal healing, sound therapy as well. So you can go to Lady Gwendolyn Healing, that is LadyGwendolynHealing.com. Book your appointment with me. I do in person, I do over the phone, I do over Zoom. We can do that as well. My main goal is to help you grow and heal, because I've been there, I'm still going through it, and let my strength help guide you. See you soon.
Hey everybody, Natalie here from The Pendulum's Path. If you are in need of guidance, direction, spiritual connection, healing, or more, you have come to the right place. I have worked as a psychic and a medium for over 3 years, connecting people from all over the world with their loved ones, giving them insight and guidance into their current situations, their past healings, their blockages, and what they need to know in order for them to have a better future. It would be my absolute honor if you would come to my website at www.thependulumspath.com. Visit my shop. I have a whole bunch of crystals, oils, balms, mystery boxes, and more. And visit my services. I offer 15-minute, 30-minute, and 60-minute sessions. I also have email readings available if you're not comfortable with the one-on-one session with me, or if you just want to try me out. I encourage you to come visit me at the Pendulum's Path, and let's get you back on the right track today.
All right. Welcome back. So we all know that Elon Musk went and spent $44 billion on, hi Devin, honey, I hope you've gotten your coffee and sat down with us. The bear claws are over to the left. billion on Twitter, and he brought back a lot of accounts that had been suspended. One of them being Ye's.
Yeah, Kanye West.
Yeah.
The artist formerly known as Kanye West.
Yes. But unfortunately, Ye couldn't keep himself in behavior, and Musk is limited. I do mean limited rules. And he's now back on the platform.
Yeah, I think it's important to point out that like a lot of people have been hitting the exit button or expecting to get for Twitter to effectively collapse at current. The environment's definitely changed over on Twitter.
It has.
And a lot of things are now far more permissible than they were before.
Right.
While Musk basically sits here and presses every button he can find.
Right, because he can't just not press a button. By the way, if you're on hive.com, I've joined that. It looks to be a Twitter replacement. We will see.
And as of this exact moment, if you go follow him over there, you will get there before I have.
Yes.
I don't know.
But really, the dude went and posted a obvious hate symbol trying to incite violence. What I do like is Elon's response. I tried my best. Despite that, he again violated our rules against incitement to violence. The account will be suspended.
Yeah.
Now, we also know that he bought a social media company. I don't remember which one he bought.
I thought it was
Paperclip.
Oh, what? Oh, you mean Kanye West?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the final straw came when Ye posted a picture that appeared to be a Nazi swastika inside a Star of David, a religious symbol of Judaism, and indicated that it would be used as a logo for his 2024 presidential campaign. Jeez.
Right. Oh, yeah, that Parler, and now he's decided not to. Yes, Balenciaga's check bounced.
I guess so. Yeah.
This man needs to get some mental stuff together.
Well, don't they all?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, it's been the year of what the hell is this?
Yeah.
Like, can we just say that that's like the thing I think 2022 is going to be remembered for, as being the year of what the hell is this?
That's going to be this decade.
True. It's starting. I mean, we're early into the 2020s still. It's still a little early. We're a quarter of the way through.
Yeah.
It's got some time. It could turn around.
Okay, this Hive, HIVE.com.
Yeah. Oh, the Twitter replacement. Yeah, it's Hive.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I don't know. I forget what Ye bought.
He tried to buy a Parler.
Oh, ooh.
And now he's not buying Parler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I don't know.
It is what it is. It's crap.
Is anyone else having this feeling like 2022 is like 2005 or like 2004 maybe in reverse?
Possibly.
Where it felt like 2004, 2005, somewhere in there, was just like the year of social.
Right.
Like everything went social.
Yeah.
Like Facebook launched and like Gmail came along and like there was all this stuff.
Right.
And then it feels like 2022 is the year that everything broke.
2004 is when Facebook launched.
Well, technically, but you couldn't get an account most of the times until 2005.
Right, and Twitter came along in 2006.
Yeah.
And then Google opened Gmail at that time. MySpace was dying. LinkedIn was picking up, which I thought it was going to hold steam, but apparently they're just prejudiced.
LinkedIn went straight down a tube.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's like, I don't think LinkedIn has really been relevant to the conversation since like 2015.
Right.
I mean, it's held on. It's still there. Like, I'm sure there's people that use it, like their Blackberries.
Hey, leave my Blackberry alone.
I'm just saying. I'm
sorry. I love my Blackberry.
But LinkedIn feels like it's dying like BlackBerry did.
Yes.
As in, it's there. It's still there. It's
right.
Like, they just haven't put out a new device yet.
Right.
A little foreshadowing. Because that was the end of BlackBerry.
Right.
Was just this like, no, it's still there. It's still relevant. People are still using it. And then all of a sudden it wasn't, and it was dead. And by the time they finally got a product to market, it was like, the fuck was this shit?
Yeah.
I think LinkedIn forgot what the hell it was doing.
Yeah. But if you search social media platforms right now, you will get over 50 different platforms. That's crazy. God, I got so many profiles to create.
No. That's where I'm at. Nope.
Well, you get that choice. I don't.
I mean, I could go create them, but no. I'm just no.
Yeah. And Brenda brings up, and the email every week, even though I haven't logged in.
Exactly. Like, LinkedIn just keeps going. It's like the little engine that couldn't. It's just sitting there pushing out steam and going nowhere.
Right.
And just offering one new product no one ever asked for.
Exactly.
And I think, I want to say it was really about 2015 when they launched that stupid, like, paid whatever.
Right.
Component.
Yeah.
It was bullshit, and I don't think anyone paid for it. And I think that was the beginning of the end, is everyone was just like, do I really need LinkedIn?
Yeah. Which no one needs LinkedIn.
No.
We don't need LinkedIn. We've proved that.
I feel like it is voluntarily signing up to do a fucking business background check. Like, you just go in and you fill out the fucking form.
Right.
And then no one reads it. No one reads it. And everything they integrated with doesn't read it.
Right.
It's like, so why are we here? It's like the world's worst business of commerce or chamber of commerce meeting.
Exactly. Well, I was talking, I believe it on the Psychic Talk Shop, about energies and how they've been changing a little different. Then I found this article, and it was posted literally yesterday. They're just now releasing the information. A black hole ripped apart a star. So think gravitational field 1, and it brought astronomers. It should have brought astrologers too, from around the world together.
Yeah. So, it was an event not seen in more than a decade. A sudden flash of energy launched out from the center of a distant galaxy, bright enough to be visible from 8.5 billion light years away, with a burst of light equivalent to more than 1,000 trillion suns. The flash was first detected by the Zwicky Transient Facility. A survey of the entire night sky conducted from the Palomar Observatory in California. Oh, actually, did they really just release this?
They really just released this.
December 1st, and this is about Valentine's Day.
Yeah. This is how far our data is behind. But Valentine's Day this year, they found the source that was puzzling. It was just weird. The University of Maryland lead author of one of 2 papers about the event told The Verge, and weird and good in science. It means it's something you can learn from. Within days, astronomers around the world turned to their telescopes towards a flash, observing X-rays, radio waves, and other wavelengths. It is extremely bright and was similar to gamma ray burst, a type of flash, bright flash usually detected on gamma ray and X-ray telescopes. But this one had been spotted in an optical telescope. Yeah, so black hole eats planet. So we have something that's inertia. It eats a star that is producing a gravitational wave. And guess what? The Earth is getting blasted with all the vomit, and if it was a human body, all the blood,
entire
vomit,
galaxy,
and pus.
The entire galaxy,
true,
is just getting bombarded.
Right.
Yeah, like where's that in your astrological chart?
Well, that determination could be possible in the astrological chart, but this is where astrology and astronomy link up. Everyone has been wondering about the weird weather, the weird feelings that humans have had, the weird behaviors we have had, the weird behaviors in general we have had. This is why you're getting a gravitational throw up of energy from gamma ray to gamma projects to X-rays to radio waves. I mean, think about having a broken microwave and trying to cook chicken soup in it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
That might not go well.
Yeah.
Don't try that at home. Definitely don't try that at home.
Right. So the star was being ripped apart by the black hole. Only 1% seemed to produce just these powerful jets. The researchers still aren't sure exactly. The star was pulled apart. Materials were pulled in towards the black hole. The energy matter was converted into light, and therefore the magnetic field and the spin of the black hole could act together, and some material shooting across its poles, like a tube of paint squeezed in the middle of a material until the materials flew out an entirely different end. We're talking thousands of times the mass of Earth that is pulled apart and summed up and launched to a close to the speed of light. It's really a unique opportunity to study something that is impossible to reproduce on Earth.
Yeah.
It is not hard to reproduce. Go find you a yo-yo white chick.
What?
Literally, go find you an UGG-wearing white chick, take her to the ball, feed her cheap liquor, and you can reproduce that energy.
Okay. Weird analogy, but all right, let's go there. Or not. Let's run away. But no, so astrology, I don't think generally accounts for this.
No.
Like, as in, most of these systems are older. Like, let's just get down to brass tacks. They're older systems. They're older software.
Right.
I don't think any of them account for these events.
No, because it's not part of the classical chart.
Well, it's not part of the classical chart, but then I don't think, like, one, that being one part, and then another part being, like, how do you know? How do you know what this is going to do?
Well, because it happened a decade ago. It happened 2 decades ago. It happened 3 decades ago. So you also have to pay attention to the human behavior of history.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Well, and then you also have to question, like, is it an amplifier? Is it a diminisher? Like, does it go through and just amplify, like, what everyone's feeling? Like, if it's a shitty fucking year, it's going to be shittier.
Right.
If it's a really good year, it's going to be gooder.
Right.
It's going to be the goodest.
Well, let's look at 2023 February. What happened in the world in 2022 February?
I don't know.
Well, let's go for it. News of 2022 February. Magic Happens Parade returns to Disneyland in Florida in 2023. The 2023 Toyota Grand Highlights are coming in February. Pope Francis travels to Africa, rescheduled to February 2023.
All right, so we have the Haiti floods.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. let's see, the Russo-Ukrainian crisis, the Belisarius. So yeah, this U.S. State Department announces they've ordered government employees and their families to leave Belisarius, and amid ongoing tensions between Russia and Ukraine. Yeah.
So we're seeing a lot of aggression and a lot of change of weather patterns occurring.
Oh hell, that was just February 1st.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Now that's
So
the lead up, and it's already being poured into there. So let's do the 14th.
Yeah. So 14th was when it was visible. Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot about Russia and Ukraine. Yeah, 7 people are killed and 20 others injured by an explosion and fire at a block of flats in Saint Laurent de la Salonique. So that was in France. They were looking for survivors. Right. The pandemic was ongoing. Well, winding down, but still.
Right.
We banned all imports of Mexican avocados.
Yeah. To the horror of, Gen Zs.
Like, yeah, that was it.
Gas prices apparently
rose. Canada convoy protest. So yeah, the government of Canada invokes the Emergencies Act for the first time since the law was passed in 1988.
Right.
Thereby giving the federal government temporary powers to deal with ongoing blockades associated with protest.
So we have an aggression of government.
Yeah.
A rebellion going on. We're seeing that in Ukraine because, we got grandmothers out here beating the hell out of trained soldiers and making them call their mother with frying pans. Okay. So what type of energy are we getting here? We're getting aggressive energy. Where are we getting at? At large societal positionings. That's normally Pluto, Uranus area, sometimes Saturn. And then we're getting weather patterns, which is tied to normally the sun and moon pattern of behavior, because of course the moon handles that. And that is that gravitational pull. What is going to be our first defense against the gravitational pull? The moon. It gets hit with gamma rays more than we do because we have it there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a really weird part of the year. Like, it was just like news of violence.
Right.
Just news of violence. Like, I'm scrolling through the rest of the month and it's just like violence, 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 violence. And it's like, wow. And then we had so by the 25th of February, like, we've got the where was it? I just scrolled past. Darn it. Yeah, the Sumatra earthquake.
Right.
Sumatra, Indonesia.
Right.
That was a 6.2 magnitude earthquake. Felt as far away as Malaysia and Singapore. Right. Like, yeah.
All right, now let's go back to 2012.
Okay.
What,
February 2012?
No, just the year 2012. What all happened that year? Because they're not giving a specific date when it was hit.
Okay. Oh, let's see. Violent protest in Bucharest. The Costa Concordia runs aground off of the coast of Italy. And that's January. February, Egypt's deadliest football incident, known as the Port Said Stadium riot.
Right.
Yeah, let's see. March. Series of explosions reported in a munitions dump in Brazzaville,
Right.
in the Republic of Congo.
Right.
A coach carrying school pupils and teachers crashes while traveling through Sierra Tunnel on the A9 motorway in western Switzerland.
Mm-hmm.
The Encyclopedia Britannica discontinues its print edition.
Mm-hmm. What about 2008? Preferably September the 10th.
Okay. Well, give me a second. It was 2008.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're looking at September the 10th.
Yes.
Oh, see, honey, you don't want me to read this one.
Okay.
I don't think it'll be good.
Okay.
September 10th, the proton beam is circulated for the first time in the Large Hadron Collider, the world's largest and highest energy particle accelerator, located at CERN near Geneva under the Franco-Swiss border.
Yeah. And the Earth was getting pummeled with gamma rays at the time.
Now,
do we see? This is how astrology works. So what's your pattern with this? You're looking at 3 events of the same thing.
Yeah. It's basically a violent force.
Yeah.
Is what it's looking like. If we use those 3 years, like there's a lot of ugly, deadly things happening.
Exactly. So we're looking.
I mean, Hadron Collider notwithstanding, that was a real feat of technology, and I'm not saying it's ugly and violent per se.
Right.
But it is kind of, at the atomic level, a very ugly, violent thing.
Right.
Like, you are forcefully slamming, if I understand correctly, and I'm thinking right, you're forcibly slamming particles together.
Yes, to make neutrons.
As God never intended.
As the universe never intended. But anyhow,
well, yeah.
So the astrologer's job is to see the pattern here and go, oh, this happened, so this is going to happen. This happened, so this is going to happen. It's noticing the pattern. Like,
right.
Well,
but here's the problem is, when do we get to a point that we actually get the data fast enough for you to use that, like, from the moment it occurs forward, instead of, we're, 10 months later going, oh, do you remember about February when everything was real fucked up?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is why.
Well, that's when, you have to subscribe to NASA, and hopefully they will put it out, or, have a nice telescope to be sitting there and tracking the stars, not using the software.
I mean, it makes me wonder how much it really screwed with, like, predictions for that day, though.
I don't know.
Was it already a day that most astrology people were going to be like, yeah, today's going to suck? Or was it like, no, this is supposed to be a really awesome day, and then it was just a shit show?
Right.
And everyone's like, I thought you said, like, there was supposed to be peace, love, and
there was an eclipse that day.
Oh, God.
And I am a year ahead of myself.
Oh, wrong year? What? They finally get 2023 up?
No, I started typing 2023 instead of 2024. All right, according to the Chicago Tribune, General Day Insight is wonderful ideas are filled the air at this time. The inquiry of Mercury entering an intense Aquarius at 4:54 p.m. Eastern. We are being encouraged not to think outside the box, but to forget the box entirely. Even better, we can talk through things with each other and exchange information, which allows space for even more brighter concepts. Not all of them will amount to much in the long run, but look for them to abruptly worth trying out to see what happens. Aries was having a crappy day. Tauros, you were kind of like trying to, keep in mind how you say things matters just as much as what you actually are saying.
So it was Taurus's fault. That's what I'm hearing.
Well, I'm interested in where the interspectrum is.
And also, what house is this in?
Well, it will depend on where. That's the other problem is we don't have the coordinates for where this inflection is coming in. I would say it's probably coming through Gemini because most of what's occurring here and most of the badder stuff is on Gemini during this time.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was just saying, because wouldn't that technically, differ from person to person based on the exact. So yeah, I'm just sitting here going like, yeah, I would say some people filed for divorce kind of spontaneously that day, and it was like War of the Roses level filed for divorce.
Well, I just
like if you didn't physically file the paperwork, it was real clear that relationship was motherfucking done. Like, scorched earth, dead, gone, over.
Right.
I wonder how many people got fired on February 14th this year. Because if it hits your career and employment, I would think that would be pretty flippin' ugly.
Well, see, with this, I would see it more so not filing for divorce, but I would see domestic violence being up.
Oh, true. But then again, that kind of leads to ...
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I'm not going to say it's, and I'm not making light of domestic violence, but it's not going to be your ordinary run-of-the-mill domestic violence.
All right.
It's going to be like relationship ender. Like, that's it. We're done. Like, I can't see that being the kind of day where it's like, I still love him. He just gets angry sometimes.
Right.
Like, I figure it's going to be the kind of domestic violence that's like, nope, I'm out.
Well, let's see. Johnson & Johnson filed for bankruptcy. Crypto firm BlackFiles files for bankruptcy. Like, there's a ton of companies going belly up that day.
Well, yeah, but they're already at the point in which if they filed on the 14th, they knew long before they were going down.
Right.
I'm just saying, like, which companies took their worst hits and then later filed, or like
let's look at the overall.
I'd say it would probably mark the uptick of companies going down.
Stock market Dow Jones 2022. Stocks fell to hold gains on Treasury yield market wrap. JP Morgan says bond trades overpriced. The Fed burgers front loading hikes for inflation incredibly. And because I don't have access, Bloomberg, I'm not paying you for your bad reporting.
Okay, so basically it sounds like stock analysts went, pull the ripcord, just pull the ripcord, just pull the ripcord. Like,
it plummeted 2.8%. That's NASDAQ. S&P 500 slid 1.9. So yeah, business went down.
Yeah.
And that's also when pasta became very hard to find.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last week was disappointing on Wall Street as markets dumped equities, fearing higher than expected interest rates hikes in March. Three major stocks index, the Dow, the S&P 500, and NASDAQ compound, declined 1% to 2.5% respectively. Just released Zacks top 10 stocks for 2022. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Whatever house, and see, companies have their own astrology chart. True. The date you start your company is the day that you can run an astrology chart, and it'll tell you how your business will behave.
Well, yeah, but then you have all the employees that work there, and then all of their charts that, like, this hit.
Right, and comparatively, it's like, if you go to take a job, find out the company, I can do this, run a compatibility chart between you and the job, and it'll tell you how you react to that company.
Oh, hell. Do we want to have fun?
We can have fun, and then we've got to figure out if you're the asshole.
Okay, let's figure out if I'm the asshole, and I rethought that. I'm like, do I really want to give out that much information on air and do this?
Well, you can PM it.
Okay. Like what all? But I need to know the actual start date of the company, don't I?
Yes.
Shit.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well,
Did
let's
we
go
run
take
the
a
hour
break.
break? I don't think we did.
No, we haven't yet. I was getting
Let's
ready to
run the
say, let's
break.
go.
He'll PM me. We'll have fun doing the break, and if it's worth mentioning, I'll bring it back to you.
Welcome back, Goblins! My name is Jason, and I am the host of the Esoteric Book Club, a podcast that examines titles on the magical, paranormal, the mysterious, and the strange. I release 2 episodes a month in which I review books on esoteric topics, recap news of the weird, and conduct interviews with authors, practitioners, and experiencers. The Esoteric Book Club can be found on every major podcast service or can be streamed directly from esotericbookclub.org.
Hi, I'm Tracy Van. I provide a blended reading consisting of mediumship, psychic, and tarot cards. A reading from me can cover any guidance you need from relationships with your partner or your family, spiritual, financial, any questions you may need clarity on. If you would like to book an appointment with me, check out my website, tracyvann.com. That's TracyVann.com. I have bookings from 15 to 60 minutes you may choose from. That helps if you just have a quick question, need an answer, or if you're looking for a reading in more depth, I'm here to provide the guidance and clarity for you. Let's just figure it out. Bye.
Hi, Techie Joe here. I work with Aeson Knight, some of the best psychics in West Virginia, to create amazing live streams and podcasts for the Psychic Coffee Shop Network. Together, we brew up great content discussing news, events, hot topics, and more, all from a psychic perspective. On the Psychic Coffee Shop, we interview amazing authors in the metaphysical realm. Coffee and Tea combines Aeson with Tracy, Dottie, Natalie, or Lady Gwendolyn for the good and the bad of being a psychic. Shameless Self-Promotion with Dottie the Psychic talks to leading and emerging YouTubers and business owners in our community. Mountain Bears brings you the latest in LGBT news and politics. The Psychic That Plans answers the question of, well, how a psychic plans. Plus, we're live on air. We take your comments and your questions, including psychic advice questions. Check out our amazing programming, book an appointment with top psychics, and find out all the wonderful things we have to offer at PCSBnetwork.com today.
Hi, I'm Aeson Knight. I provide tarot readings covering everything from love and relationships to your life questions and your most spiritual answers. And also, I provide a lot of guidance in finances and divorces and all those relationship problems. So, if you'd like to get a reading from me privately, not on air, you can feel free to do so by visiting aesonknight.com and booking your appointment. I also provide on-demand services, so if your life is a little chaotic, you can go ahead and click that call now button there on my site. Great for a quick answer question. All right, guys, back to the show. Enjoy.
All right.
Alrighty. So figure out if you're an asshole, and then we'll do this.
Okay. Yeah, I found all the data he needed, I think.
Yep.
Awesome. So am I the asshole? I ordered seafood for myself and coworkers despite one of them being allergic to shellfish. I work nights at a hospital and I work a lot of overtime, so I spend 36 to 72 hours at work per week there. Most of us don't bring food and end up putting in one big order on someone's phone and Venmoing that person. There's a woman I work with, call her M, who has allergies to shellfish and peanuts. We often accommodate her by ordering from her chosen restaurants. One night, I decided to order from this place I love that has a lot of seafood and non-seafood options. I offered my coworkers the option to put in an order on my phone if they wanted to. So people start putting in orders on my phone, and M starts making a big stink, talking to others about how inconsiderate she thinks I'm being, and saying things out loud like, guess everyone's ordering seafood tonight. Hope I don't die. Here's our conversation. M, I wish we could order from restaurant B since I can eat their food. Me, how did you find that out? M, I just ate there once and nothing happened, so I've kept going and felt safe because I never had a reaction. Oh, well, maybe we could call this restaurant and explain your allergy and see if they can accommodate you. No, even if they say they can, it's too risky. This is the best place to take a risk. It's the hospital. We have EpiPens everywhere. Oh no, I don't use EpiPens. Mine has been expired for 3 years. I don't even carry one. I'm so careful with my allergies that I don't need one. Me, so you want the whole unit to tiptoe around your allergies every time we order food, yet despite the risk of anaphylactic shock, you don't even have an EpiPen? Like I said, I'm so careful that I haven't needed one the last 3 years. Well, I don't like that you are putting the responsibility on me to protect you from your allergies when you clearly don't take them seriously enough to carry an EpiPen. Make sure you wash your hands and your work area really well, like scrub everything down when you're done and don't come anywhere near me when you're eating. Was M's final response. So I walked to the break room and came back to her complaining about me to the charge nurse who agreed with her, but we ordered anyway. 1, if you don't like what I'm ordering, you are most definitely welcome to order your own food. 2, why should I worry about being extremely careful with your allergy if you don't even care to carry or replace your EpiPen for 3 years? I get the whole allergy menu thing for invite-only and RSVP events, but to expect me to change my diet and to exclude your allergens at a place where I spend most of my time is ridiculous. But maybe I'm wrong. Am I the asshole? Edit for clarification. We are both medical professionals. And to clarify, it's not specifically a seafood restaurant. It's a sports bar. And one more edit. She's specifically allergic to shellfish, but frowns upon and avoids all seafood at all costs. I only know because I asked her that night. My plate specifically contains seafood, but not shellfish. So I made the comment that she should be fine, and she responded, no, in my house, we treat all seafood like shellfish because you never know. I don't think OP's the asshole.
I don't either.
I mean, I think someone's being real cavalier with their allergies.
Well, I think they're being more than cavalier. I think they're being problematic.
Well, yeah, because they're making it everyone else's problem.
Exactly.
And I mean, I get that. Like, shellfish, though, is not like I don't think, that's not one that, you're going to have shellfish mist in the air and take someone out.
Right.
I mean, maybe going to, a fishmonger or a fish market is a bad idea. But I don't think just ordering and eating seafood, you're going to have that big of a risk. As in someone else orders it and eats it near you.
Right.
I mean, I know there's issues with peanut allergies.
Right.
And that some of that can be airborne because of the dust from the nut processing plant.
Mm-hmm.
And that it can cross-contaminate even if you're allergic to peanuts, but this plant, also produces macadamia nuts. And you eat the macadamia nuts that you're not allergic to, but because of all the peanut production, there's peanut dust on them. I get that part.
Right.
And I get that, opening the bag, you could a little cloud of dust. And some people are that allergic to peanuts. And I can kind of understand that. Okay, we're not doing anything with peanuts. But I mean, would she expect this if, you brought food from home?
Well, see, that's just it. And this is the thing I'm thinking about is, what if you have dinner out?
Yeah, Devin's like not the asshole. Brenda, Brenda is just kind of like, what? Like, this just all seems dumb.
Yeah.
Is the way I'm reading her comment. But no, I'm just like, I don't get it. Like, if
All right, I've put the poll up. We'll see where that goes. You have Skype.
I has what?
You have
I have Slack.
you have Slack.
Okay. There we go. Oh, let's see how this goes.
So we took an old employer.
So it's based on date started, not date the company was incorporated?
It's based on the date you provided.
Well, I provided both. Like, there's the incorporation date for the company above, and then I didn't know which one you needed, so I sent both.
Okay, well, give me a minute.
Okay.
It looks like it's a shit show anyhow.
You think? Ooh, yeah. Oh, that we simply don't understand one another. Oh, yeah, that speaks well. Oh, yeah. Okay. I mean, this does not exactly. Well, because I was wondering how much. So that might have determined more of the relationship of how the employment went. Brenda says, never expect a tech not to give too many numbers and info. Actually try really hard not to over. Like, I really do try not to, like, blast people, but I still have those moments where it's like, nah, you need numbers. Numbers are good.
All right, coming your way in a second.
Okay. Sorry, didn't mean to drive you crazy.
You're not.
Okay. But yeah, so.
Yeah, my keyboard drives me crazy.
Well, there's that. Yeah.
Especially when I'm in this program.
I think we're going to have to take you back to wired.
I think we are.
Yeah. Like, I don't know what it is back there, and maybe it's just the number of Wi-Fi devices.
Yeah.
There we go. I think you sent the same chart.
Like, I hate to say this, I think I'm going to have to go back to wired for both until we get through this gamma ray shit.
Yeah.
Which is about 2 years, by the way.
Ew. There we go.
Yep.
Oh, this should be fun. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead and choose like 2 aspects and read through it.
Okay, well, hold on. Give me a second. Oh yeah, this makes perfect sense. So my previous company Sun opposition my Mars. This is an active energetic relationship, and you can accomplish a great deal together. Be wary, however, of the tendency to butt heads when your combined dynamic energy makes you both feel impatient.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Their Sun in opposition to my Saturn. It is likely that a restrictive, limiting, and even oppressive tone develops in this relationship. I can fall into the role of being the parent, teacher, or taskmaster of the company, causing the company to feel inhibited and confined by my seriousness and inflexibility. If the company can benefit from the responsible and concerned attitude of me and and I can refrain from taking problems or concerns too seriously, then the positive sense of maturity, responsibility, and stability of the relationship can overcome the negative tendencies. Obviously, that didn't happen.
Right.
So yeah.
But no, I done this recently, and I found it really interesting. And I've got to go back and check my chart against one of the companies I'm in leagues with that has been bought up. So I technically have to go and check the new company, new owner's chart. And see how it is.
Ooh, my Venus square their Saturn. Feelings of estrangement, distance, coolness, or lack of appreciation and affection characterize your relationship from time to time. And I, in particular, feel inhibited or criticized. You will take your commitment, responsibility, and obligations to one another seriously, and you may depend heavily on one another financially or emotionally, but you tend to become too formal and rather joyless if you spend too much time together.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, doesn't that just characterize my last 3 years of no vacation?
Exactly. But no, this is something I'm able to do for those that want it. I don't know how to market it. Just go and order compatibility chart.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So checking the votes. No, the coworker is not the asshole by 100%.
Okay, and we are talking about the one ordering the food, not
the one
him,
that ordered lunch.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Like I was kind of like I switched on this one. I was like, nah, you got to kind of be careful with people who have food allergies. But I'm sitting there, and it's like, especially like if you haven't bothered to refill your EpiPen for 3 years, how concerned are you about your food allergy? Right. Or more importantly, how bad is your food allergy?
Right.
I'm sorry, having grown up with a mom that was allergic to bees, like we had an EpiPen.
Right.
She taught me as a kid how to use an EpiPen. Because mom getting stung by a bee would have been a very bad thing. And like, I mean, I kind of will say, I think the coworker is kind of minimizing a lot, as in the OP is minimizing a lot, like the severity that allergies can have. I mean, yes, you are in a hospital, and maybe it was just a little gallows humor that like, there really is no better place to experience food allergy than here.
Exactly.
Because you're already here.
Right.
But at the same time, I do think that kind of minimizes it. Like, there's a lot more than just the initial anaphylactic shock.
Right.
Like, that shit takes it out of you.
Yeah.
Like, that's not just like, oh, I had anaphylactic shock and now I'm going to go, like, clean my house.
Yeah.
It's more like, I had anaphylactic shock and now I'm going to feel like shit for 3 days.
Right.
Like, I'm going to be really tired and exhausted, and my body's going to recover from the shit that just went on through it.
Right.
Between the anaphylactic shock itself and the EpiPen.
Right.
Yeah. No, that I don't think we
the adrenaline rush and everything else.
Well, yeah, the EpiPen. Like, those hit hard.
Right.
Like, those are, like, most people are really, like, they really hate having to use their EpiPens.
Yeah.
Like, they really love having them and love the ability to like, save themselves in an emergency situation, don't we all?
Mm-hmm.
But to actually have to, like, have that moment, like, no one ever wants to use that when it's not serious.
Well, see, here's the thing, and this is what gets me with this. Okay, you did not have an EpiPen. You had another one that lived in my purse for a number of years.
Well, the AviQ.
AviQ.
Yeah, I had AviQ. It's effectively the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just not the traditional EpiPen format.
Right.
I had that because of my immunosuppressive therapy.
Right.
Because as I was going through that, there was a risk
Right.
that, okay, when they do the injection,
Right.
I could have a very severe reaction. So, of course, when we brought that home and you started doing the injections for me, that was a risk. Right. And then there was a risk that if I got overexposed to any of my allergens on top of the immunosuppressive therapy, there could be a risk. Right. And Shannon brings up a good point that the EpiPen is expensive as fuck. Not quite what she said, but
they are
expensive as fuck.
Thank you, Joe Manchin.
Yeah, well, Joe Manchin's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a Mylan Pharmaceuticals product, and they jumped the price of that like it was going out
600%.
Yeah, and so no, that's why, like, my doctor chose the AviQ. It's a much less expensive product. It's out of Virginia, a totally different pharmaceutical company. And it not only is it not, it's nowhere near as expensive as an EpiPen. But it's also an auto injector, as in it voice guides you through the entire process. It's much less expensive, and they cover a lot of people.
Right.
And work with a lot of insurances to get that to you for as little as humanly possible.
Right.
So that it becomes reasonable, more than reasonable, to have one. I technically got mine for free. I had to fill out like a 1-page form. It was no big deal. They were really nice and really friendly, and we even had it refilled.
Yeah.
And they were really nice and really friendly. And it's like, I like it more than the EpiPen.
I do. I like it because it talks. I don't have to worry about sight. I don't have to worry about if I unlocked or locked or this or that. It'll talk you through the whole damn thing.
Yeah, and I think if we had to cash buy it, it was like $100 and some.
Yeah.
For the two AviQ injectables, plus the trainer one that explains to you how to use it. So you can play with it, and you can learn, and you can experience.
Right.
Without ever touching or opening even.
Exactly.
The actual AviQ units. But yeah, it's really nice. The batteries, I think, last forever, because I showed everyone how to use the damn thing, mostly because it was cool as shit.
Yeah.
It really was. So is it cheap? No.
Is it cheaper? Yes.
Oh yeah, it's way cheaper. It's way more in the realm of, like, you can afford to have allergies and carry this.
Exactly.
Like,
all right.
Yeah.
On to poly relationship advice.
All righty.
That's in your private chat.
Yeah, I got it. How much consideration do you give a potential partner's past? I live in a relatively small town where the poly community is obviously small as well. Many of the people of that community know each other, and so if someone has had bad experiences with someone else, typically that means a small group of people now don't associate with each other. I'm curious how much others consider a potential partner's past when first talking and finding out what they may have been like years ago. I understand this is situational depending on what the person is, was like, and did. Just curious whether more of you tend to assume people are heavily influenced by their environment connections at the time in their past, or if people are who they are, and if they've messed up in the past, they will mess up again. See, I think I'm going to be the weirdo on this one.
Okay.
But take it away.
No, you go first.
I don't think I think you let it inform yourself. Like their past informs you that like this occurred.
Right.
I think it's really hard to hold someone's past against them, especially if you're seeing signs that like they may not have been that person, may not be that person now, may have done things to change that help them grow. I don't think you can necessarily hold their past entirely against them. I think you have to kind of like if I were in a situation where, say, I'm starting to date someone and I hear that like from someone else, oh, they stole from me and they did this and they did that. Okay. So, I mean, I would inform it and I would probably be a little more like my antenna's going to be up. Okay. For like theft.
Right.
And situations in which theft could occur.
Right.
I'm not going to necessarily let that be who they are. Like they're a thief and they're horrible and blah, blah, blah. I would accept that like the person telling me that may have their own motivations there.
Right.
Like even if it's true.
Right. Well, see, here's the
not
thing with this is, it depends on where you're hearing it from. And this is where I take from important.
Okay.
If you're hearing it from them, yeah, I'll listen to it. If you're hearing it from an ex, no, I'm not paying attention to it. I'm not paying attention to it because they are an ex.
Well, I will say that like the ex that told me about one of my exes, so my ex's ex, was, who was as upfront as they could be about the situation, was flat out told me, do not ever give them your social.
Right.
Don't let them do your taxes. And for God's sakes, don't go into business with them. Here's what happened to us.
Right.
I heard that and I believed it because it came from a place of sincere honesty. But additionally, I didn't let it exactly change my relationship, other than I was really like, I kind of took that one to heart and went, okay, like, thank you for making me aware kind of reaction.
Right.
But like this had happened in the past. So like, and then it was very soon after, it was like, oh, well, I could do your taxes for you. And I'm like, yeah, it's fine. I'll do this for myself. And, I didn't make a big deal out of it. I didn't like go to them and be like, is this what you did? But I was like, yeah, I think that's probably good advice. And, no, I don't think we're there yet.
Right.
Like, I don't know enough about your tax situation or your finances and your stuff for me to hand you my stuff.
Right.
And so, yeah, I think that's kind of probably saved me a lot of headache. Because I hate doing taxes. I fucking hate doing taxes.
I roll my eyes and it's like, okay, let's just punch in the number. Let the program do the work.
But then I also carried that forward into the future.
Right.
Like, I'm not real comfortable. Like, and I hadn't really thought about it. It was like, well, you have like, as in my ex, he had an accounting degree, and you know, but he had apparently used his to try to, do some things that he shouldn't have.
Right.
Like he got a little willy-nilly with the deductions and got a little over the top and pissed off the IRS.
Right.
So.
Yeah, but then I'm sitting here thinking, well, if Black Hole 2, because Black Hole 2 said some things.
Okay.
And I didn't accept them and still don't accept them because they haven't been truthful to begin with.
Fair.
It's like, that's cute, go away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I think those are in and of themselves, like Black Hole 1 and Black Hole 2. And these were two of my exes, and this is how we term them.
Yes.
Those two in particular, I really struggle with, like, trying to really hold them accountable for anything they say. Because of the associated mental health problem.
But at the
because
same
it's
time,
the same problem for both of them.
Right. You have a type. Apparently I broke that pipe. But anyhow, what I'm saying is, did I give there any credence there? And it's like, no, I didn't, because that wasn't the person I was dealing with.
Well, yeah, and that's part of the mental health condition.
Yeah.
Is, and I'll go ahead and speak to it, is, for me, for the experience of dating someone bipolar, they are who they say they are in the exact moment they say it, but you really have to take to heart the idea that changes minute to minute, circumstance by circumstance, day to day, hour to hour. And they sincerely mean it and believe it to be true. They're not intentionally lying to you.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that you should build your life around it.
Right.
Because what they're telling you is very subject to change.
Right.
It's a very awkward situation for a relationship when you have a partner.
Right.
That it's not that you don't believe them. It's that you can't put a lot of faith in it or a lot of stock into it.
Right.
Because like 5 minutes from now, they'll hate you.
Right.
Tomorrow, they're going to think that, you're the worst person they've ever met and they could do better.
Right.
And 4 days after that, you're right back here where you're just the greatest person I've ever met. And I just don't know why you love me.
Right.
That rinse, lather, repeat.
Right. But on the other side of that, the part is when they start talking trash about you to your partner. That's when it's like, no, I ain't paying attention to that stuff. So the credence is run a background check on them. If they come up with criminal background, deal with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I've always had this idea that some people are who they are because of who they're with.
Right.
And I am never going to say that someone else's actions necessarily or do at all justify domestic violence.
Right.
They don't. Someone else's action does not justify your domestic violence towards them.
Right.
I do, however, think there are some couples and some situations couples are in which like the seed of domestic violence is there, and this is just throwing water and sunlight on it.
Right.
Like, they might be an okay couple, but for like the screaming baby, the lack of sleep, the living paycheck to paycheck, and none of them touch each other because they're constantly in the negative.
Right.
Like, all of that adds on, and I think that like the seed of domestic violence was there, and then all the rest of the shit, just you upped it one more level and one more level and one more level, for some people. Now, for some people, I think they're just domestic abusers, and it doesn't matter who the hell they're with; they're going to beat the hell out of someone.
Right.
That's a different category.
Right.
I think for some people, it can be this is who they were with them.
Exactly.
And it's horrible and it shouldn't have happened. And a lot of things can be said there about how that relationship should have ended or ended fast when the domestic violence started. I don't think that's necessarily who they're going to be with everyone or in every situation. That, you know, if life's running good and everything, right, you know, and the personalities don't clash too much. Yeah. Well, exactly. Brenda's saying some couples feed each other's demons, worked with one couple, great people until they got together.
Right. Yep. Exactly. Yep. And, you know, your couples should be building off of each other. All right, guys. We're a little over time. That's okay. But it's been great chatting with you. We will see you again on Sunday for Psychic Fit Plans.
We will.
Yeah.
Take it away, Vanna. Sorry, I was waiting for the words. So, of course, we want to thank Beverly Walker, Mika G, Kathy, Mary Winfield, Brenda Bryant, Shannon C, Shannon D, Lady Gwendolyn, Charles Shaw, Dottie the Psychic, Tracy Van, Donna White, Caitlin Bell, and the Laughing Tree Grove. If you'd like to learn more about us, the show, or how you too can become a Patreon sponsor and receive all the wonderful benefits our baristas receive, please visit us at pcspnetwork.com.
All right, y'all. You have an amazing night. Bye.
Bye.